See some early morning hours before you wake up, and then most of them will be before noon, and then by noon in Virginia, I think the sun will come out. It may linger a little while in North Carolina with a few showers even into the afternoon. We have some showers just offshore and a couple in Beaufort County in North Carolina, but nothing locally. Most of them are just in the extreme western parts of the states, and they'll be here sometime in the morning. Now, this is the storm. It sort of looked like 24 hours ago when they had the tornadoes. Most of them were in Arkansas. And that storm, you see, it's kind of wrapping itself around. When it looks like that, that's that mature storm. It's kind of bringing in so much cold air that it's killing itself. And it is chilly out there. They had wind chills this morning of 20 to 30 degrees below zero in Minnesota and in North Dakota. And in Missouri and Kansas today, the temperature was 30 to 40 degrees colder than it was yesterday. So that is cold air. You can see it coming plunging all the way down into Texas with the warm air going up the East Coast. In fact, tonight it's going to be mild all the way up to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, with temperatures in the 50s, and that the freezing temperatures all the way down to central Texas. Well, that's responsible for that storm when you get the cold air and the warm air together. Now, tomorrow, once more, we'll still have the warm air in the morning, so it's still going to be mild in the morning. The temperature will begin to drop in the afternoon, but still fairly pleasant. Temperatures in the 60s, and then tomorrow night be kind of chilly, but we'll have scattered showers along the coast. Not a whole lot. Maybe about half of us will get wet, and they'll just be here for a couple hours and then be gone, and then the sun will come out in the afternoon. I'll be back with a forecast after this.
Chrysler Plymouth combination. Chrysler Plymouth dealer down the street.
89 Chrysler New Yorker.
A classic combination of 3.0 fuel-injected V6 power.
With New Yorker's state-of-the-art ultra-drive 4-speed automatic transmission.
And the latest in electronic convenience.
Luxury comes standard.
Chrysler Plymouth combination. Customer satisfaction can't be beat.
See your Hampton Roads Chrysler Plymouth dealer today.
High tides in the bay tomorrow at 2:48 and 3:15. Out at the beach, they're high at 118 and 145. We had a high temperature of 77. Our normal high is 61. That is not a record. The record is 83 in 1955. But they did have a record high 78 degrees in Hatteras this afternoon. 64 in town right now, 64 in the peninsula. The pressure is steady, and the wind is out of the south at 9 miles per hour. I don't think the temperature is going to fall a whole lot. We'll have a few early morning showers. It's going to be mild. Now, it may not get as cold as 57 degrees. It may get down to about 59 or 60. It's going to be quite warm out there. Maybe a little bit of patchy fog, but it shouldn't be a serious problem. The wind will continue to be out of the south, 10 to 20 miles per hour tonight. And then tomorrow, scattered showers, principally in the morning, especially in Virginia. Now, in North Carolina, because the front is going to kind of lag right there and spin right around, the showers and clouds will probably hang on into the afternoon. But we're not talking about rain all day anyway. So have clearing in the afternoon in Virginia. Maybe some late-day clearing down there in North Carolina. Perhaps a thunderstorm, not likely. Tomorrow, the high temperature is 65 to 74, warmest in the morning and cooling off in the afternoon when the wind shifts to 15 to 25 miles per hour from the northwest. Tomorrow night, cooler, 35 Virginia, 45 North Carolina. Friday, sunny and cooler, 55 to 60. And then on Saturday, a nice, beautiful day, 57 degrees, but again beginning to cloud up. And Sunday, 66, and then showers once more, possibly Sunday or Sunday night or Monday, but they just keep coming through, and most of the rain goes to the north, so we don't get a whole lot of rain.
All right, Dwayne, thanks a lot. If it's Wednesday, it must be time for the NFL Super Bloopers.
Scott will show them to us, and he'll also tell us about the super slugger named as American League MVP after this.
Relationships to help make dreams come true makes us more than just another bank. This is Senate.
Ladies and gentlemen, see New York Carpet World's Gala Fall Circus of Savings, starring the most amazing array of carpet bargains ever assembled. Savings to 62%. Super special attraction, padding free with any carpet. The center ring features a matchless array of wear-dated carpets at amazing price cuts. Follow the spotlight to our huge display with installation absolutely free. Now see a marvelous choice of area rugs and remnants at spectacular reductions. It's the greatest carpet sale on earth. Mammoth savings, pad and labor free. And Saturday at New York Carpet World.
This year, there's something different at your Dodge dealer. It's the new spirit of Dodge, and it shows in everything we do. It shows in our lineup of 89 Dodge trucks, like mid-size Dakota, imported Ram 50, and now our full-size pickup is available with the new Cummins Turbo Diesel. Selected full-size pickups in stock now have $750 cash back, and it all comes together here at your Dodge dealer, where the new spirit shows.
See your Hampton Roads Dodge dealers. You're close to one of us.
Some people probably at first said, no way, Jose, but now they know better.
I like that, Alvita.
I think Jose was her choice. There's no question. Alvita was pulling for Jose.
Well, I think everybody's choice was Jose Canseco for American League Most Valuable Player. Easy choice this time because he just did it all this year, and very easy choice. And I mean, unanimous vote. He's this year's American League Most Valuable Player. What do you expect from the guy who was the first player in Major League history to hit over 40 home runs and steal over 40 bases in the same season? That'll tell you something. He's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of speed. He's got a lot of muscles. He led the league in home runs. He led the league in RBIs. And he is only 24 years old. He could really start a new trend in weightlifting, in all sincerity, because for years, they always say don't weightlift for baseball, but Jose is an avid weightlifter, and I think it paid off this year for the Oakland A's. He's our most valuable player in the American League. Well, games for the Boston Celtics have been anything but the sure thing so far this season. Up against Golden State tonight at the Boston Garden, another one that went down to the wire. Golden State has won the Garden since 1978. The Warriors would like to see more of this from Ralph Sampson, the UVA grad. Ralph had 12 in the first quarter. He still has a nice touch, but the only problem is he didn't score any more points the rest of the game. However, Chris Mullin is turning into a really solid pro. Mullin, another big night for Golden State tonight. They're off to a pretty quick start, and they were up by 6 in the fourth quarter. Well, the Celtics came back to tie it at 1:04. You can see the clock ticking down. Dennis Johnson going to get off a shot. Just throw it up there, Dennis. Goes in, and they win it. Larry Bird is out with an injury. Matter of fact, Bird may have to go under surgery, but the Celtics won it tonight, 107 till 1:04 with 1 second to go. Barkley had 42, Jordan 52. The Sixers beat Chicago by 13. Detroit over San Antonio. The Pistons are still unbeaten, and Phoenix has the halftime lead on Indiana. Wednesday night, time to get into the NFL football mode. It's time to bring on the NFL Super Bloopers for the past weekend. And just to show you that we don't always have bloopers, there were just a number of great catches this past weekend. Some outstanding receivers for the LA Raiders, and one of them, Mervin Fernandez, maybe their best coming down from the Canadian Football Conference. And we saw some great catches at the Redskins-Bears game this weekend. First quarter, Dennis Gentry leaps, dives, grabs. Nice catch, and Art Monk still has it. This is when the Redskins were getting back into it. Monk, another diving. Did I tell you we had some great catches this weekend? There were. Geraldo was at the game. Thank you very much. And are the Lions having trouble? Is this a pass? No. And look, everybody stops. That's a loose ball. Somebody pick it up. And Tampa Bay did. Oh, it's really horrendous in Detroit. Maybe that's one of the reasons that their guy got fired this weekend. Flutie goes long. Sometimes you use your head to make plays. Sometimes you use other parts of your body. And, of course, the pep band in Marshall. This is the percussion section, I believe. Doing some real work there. The Marshall, future NFL stars, of course. Bad news for the Redskins. Marcus Cook has a stress fracture of the lower vertebrae, lumbar vertebrae. It's in your lower back. He will miss at least 4 to 6 weeks, maybe after the rest of the season. He has started 6 games, done a good job this year for the Redskins. Robin Givens has filed a $125 million libel suit against Mike Tyson for allegedly telling a newspaper she was trying to steal his money. I won't even say anything more about that. So I do want to make one important note. Rodney Peete, quarterback for USC, got a big game, USC-UCLA game Saturday. We'll have it here. Rodney Peete has the measles. Wow. He may miss the game. Just keep that in mind.
We sure will. Okay, Scott, thanks. Next up, an American tradition that's good for your health.
Kicking the habit at least for one day when we come back.
When Paul Woods opened his animation studio, he pictured he'd just need a secretary and some phones.
Hello?
But as his company grew, the phone system just couldn't keep up.
My line cocked out.
It's for you, Doc.
Somebody get that.
So the characters insisted he call C&P Telephone for Bell Atlantic's Centrex service. It had the latest phone features, was maintenance-free, and when they branched out, Centrex grew with them. So if you have trouble communicating, draw on C&P Telephone, a Bell Atlantic company. We're more than just talk.
If you've been looking for a Japanese touring sedan but are bothered by their lofty prices, Before you consider this Honda Accord DX, consider this. The Volkswagen Jetta. A comparably equipped German-engineered Jetta is priced over $1,000 less than the Honda. With so much, for so much less, the only thing left to consider is a test drive.
So come in today to your Tidewater area Volkswagen dealer and test drive an '89 Jetta.
I want to go to one store, pack up my sleigh, and get on with the Mary Mary. That's why I shop at Leggett, and that's why they call it a department store.
Surprise! A man who hates to shop delights wife and sisters with classic sweaters, handcrafted luxury, the classy cable, a boucle beauty, and cozy fur blends, all sale priced from $19.99.
Merry Christmas.
From Leggett.
At last, all of Tidewater can view that which lies beyond. An electronics and appliance dream store with selection so vast it far surpasses Circuit City. A friendly store with no commission salespeople to pester you. A store far beyond, but with prices far, far below. FX is beyond in service, scope, size, and selection. A store beyond them all.
Well, tomorrow marks the continuation of what's become an American tradition.
The occasion, the 12th annual Great American Smokeout. Mr. Potato Head attended the kickoff celebration in L.A. today. One thing missing from the event, Mr. Potato Head's pipe, which the Play School company removed a year ago. Also, a local celebration was held in Virginia Beach tonight. Smokers threw their cigarettes into a bonfire at Virginia Beach General Hospital. Children from Kings Grant Elementary School displayed posters and handed out buttons. If you're one of the ones trying to quit tomorrow, good luck.
Yeah, we want to find out how many people actually will do that.
Yeah. Interesting topic on Nightline tonight. The Denver squatters repossessing homes for the homeless. That's next. Thanks for watching, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
WVEC, working in the spirit of Hampton Roads.
The assault. The capture. The journey. The confrontation. The Iron Triangle. Bull Bridges, Hang Nor, the Iron Triangle, the deadliest chunk of real estate in the world. Rated R.
Starts Friday at a theater near you.
In model year 88, nobody outsold Ford in the Tidewater area. So for 1989, your Tidewater Ford dealers have only one record to break, their own. And we're starting right now during Fast Start 89 with record-breaking deals on 89 Ford Escorts with free factory air conditioning, electronic AM/FM stereo, rear window defroster, digital clock, power steering, power brakes, and more. Retail price with cash back, $85.21. And that's before you get our best price. See your Tidewater Ford dealer today.
Problem: legions of homeless people in every major city across the nation. Problem: nearly 50,000 houses standing vacant because their owners have defaulted on their mortgages.
I mean, it's real simple. It doesn't take a whole bunch of monies to realize that homeless people need housing.
Is that the answer? Moving the homeless into the empty houses?
How fair is that going to be to us? When our property values go down, the neighborhood's no longer desirable.
Good evening, I'm Ted Koppel, and this is Nightline. In Denver, some of the homeless have taken over repossessed houses owned by the federal government. But what seems like an easy solution to part of the homeless problem has become a legal nightmare. That's our story tonight.
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
Don't make the mistake of looking right away for villains in this story. Ultimately, it may turn out that someone truly is to blame, but it's a good deal less simple than it appears at first blush. There is, to begin with, the problem. Hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of homeless, many of them still struggling to keep families together. And then there are nearly 50,000 empty homes. Homes that were once purchased with loans insured by the Federal Housing Administration. The people who used to live in those homes couldn't, for a variety of reasons, meet their payments. So now the federal government, in effect, owns those houses and hopes to sell them. But if it can't sell them, why not make them available to at least some of the homeless? Logical? Well, that's what this program is all about. Here's more on the story from Bonnie Strauss in Denver.
We are in a society right now, Father, where we have to fight for what we want, Father. But we want you right now, Father. Just give us strength and put back the love. Strengthen us again, Father, as we was as a family. Bear with it. I don't know when these houses are going to be available.
After 2 years of running the Golden Brick Road Shelter for homeless women and children in Denver, Dorothy King chose a controversial approach to solving the homeless problem.
We shall not be moved! Louder! We shall not be moved!
She and 12 homeless women moved into a vacant house owned by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. They demanded that the agency turn over its repossessed houses to homeless families.
If you're truly dedicated to something, then you'll go out beyond and above the call of duty.
And what does that mean in your case, going out beyond the call of duty?
Well, for instance, like breaking the law and coming in here and taking the property, you know, for these families and being considered now a criminal.
After 3 days of squatting on the property, Dorothy was arrested for trespassing. But the day after she was released from jail, HUD went along with her idea and leased 55 vacant homes to nonprofit charities for $1 a year to shelter people like Gloria Roball.
I owe it all to Dorothy. She's a great woman. She's a great woman, you know, and I appreciate her very much. All summer, you know, me and my I'm raising 3 grandkids, and we slept in the park. And I used to put them to swim all day, and that's when I'd stick them in the day. And in the summer, at night, I'd stay up all night, watch them.
Now I'm asleep.
Maybe I could sleep.
I mean, it's real simple. It doesn't take a whole bunch of monies to realize that homeless people need housing. And there's available housing here in Colorado, a large stock.
But it's not that simple.
How would you feel if a homeless family moved across the way into that HUD house?
I would disapprove.
Why?
Because I think sometimes they are homeless because they like that way of living.
Moving the homeless into vacant homes like this one is polarizing the city. Many people believe the homeless are benefiting from the hardship of others. Since the oil and mining industries collapsed 4 years ago, homeowners here have defaulted on 5,400 federally insured mortgages, which HUD then acquired. HUD is now one of the largest real estate owners in the city.
Is there anger?
I think there's a lot of anger.
Linda Law has been selling real estate in Denver for 10 years.
I would say that the people that have lost their homes and are now renting are saying, why wouldn't the lender let us stay in our own home as opposed to having supposed street people move into our home? And I think that's a natural concern when they've paid on their mortgage for 10, 15 years, and then all of a sudden someone who's homeless is coming into their home. Is that right?
Why would the government subsidize this but not subsidize the other people that need the help to just keep their house?
People like Debbie and Delbert Wareheim, a couple struggling to forestall foreclosure on their small home. Debbie lost her job as a bookkeeper, and Delbert's salary as a maintenance worker doesn't quite cover the bills. Thoughts of the homeless occupying their home is more than they can tolerate.
And just because we run into a little bit of a problem, right, is, you know, it's not right for them to take it over and just give it to somebody else that don't work here or don't have a job, and we're trying our hardest to keep it.
I used to be somebody that was expecting to go out and buy a house, pay the mortgage. I could understand their point, both sides.
But Kelly Allen and her husband were never able to buy a home. After losing their jobs, they wound up living in a truck with their daughters. Now they live in this repossessed home.
Why shouldn't we? We're talking about the future here. We're talking about 4 little girls that are the future, period. regardless of how the neighbor feels about my husband and I, being whatever they think we are, freeloaders, whatever. Don't those 4 little girls who will be in society as adults, don't they deserve a start? They deserve to be in from the cold.
There are 3,500 homeless people in Denver waiting to come in from the cold. HUD owns enough homes to accommodate all of them, but claims it doesn't have the money to pay maintenance costs.
We have about 5,400 homes available now, but what you need to understand is that many of these are readily marketable. And again, I come back to our principal responsibility, and that is to sell these homes as soon as we possibly can, to return them to private ownership.
HUD is required under the Homeless Assistance Act to determine if its underused properties are suitable for the needy, something Florence Roisman says HUD is not doing.
HUD is not supposed to be in the business of making as much money as possible. HUD is supposed to be in the business of helping people who need help to be decently housed, get that help, and get decently housed.
HUD owns almost 50,000 homes across the country, and only 500 are being used to shelter the homeless.
If nobody yells, then I don't think anything happens.
Dorothy King says that if more vacant homes are not turned over to the homeless, she and her followers will just move in.
If finding homes for women and children is breaking the law, then I'm truly a criminal, and I don't have any regrets about it. Matter of fact, I'll go again if I have to.
This is Bonnie Strauss for Nightline in Denver.
When we return, we'll discuss these issues with Thomas Demery, an Assistant Secretary at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and with Mary Ann Gleason, Project Director for the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Ford.
Ford profiles in quality, dependability.
R81s through 88s all have had fewer reported problems.
For 8 years running, people who own Ford Motor Company cars and trucks have reported fewer problems on average than owners of any other vehicles designed and built in North America. With a quality record like that, whose car would you rather depend on? At Ford, quality is job one.
This Proctor Silex coffee maker is $7.77 after rebate, and a 3-pack of 3M VHS videotapes is just $8.99.
Hey, lots of good stuff here. All over. You can't miss it. Hey, let me tell you, Ace is a place for me.
In today's classrooms, there's not much room for individual attention. Introducing Socrates, the complete educational video system that helps your kids learn one-to-one.
Christmas shopping starts now at Circuit City with great savings on video. Like this VHS VCR with remote, now just $189.97. This compact microwave oven with touch controls and 10 power levels, only $99.97. Great gift ideas for everyone. On sale now at Circuit City. The intelligent choice for Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho. If you come to Chi-Chi's for Chahitas, be prepared to go for it. Grab it. Squeeze it. Feel the heat of it. Wrap yourself around it. Because after we do our thing, you do yours.
Chi-Chi's, a celebration of food.
The American Agenda.
There are some issues which are just more important than others, and they deserve more attention.
Every weeknight on ABC's World News Tonight.
With us here in our Washington studio is Thomas Demery, who is Assistant Secretary for Housing and Federal Housing Commissioner for the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Mr. Demery is responsible for managing the Federal Housing Administration's mortgage insurance programs and for overseeing the preservation and rehabilitation of HUD's inventory of foreclosed properties. Joining us from our Denver Bureau is Mary Ann Gleason, who is Project Director for the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless and who serves on the Board of Directors for the National Coalition for the Homeless. Ms. Gleason, let's see if we can start on this thing slowly and help me understand it for a moment. Let us say, for the sake of argument, I've been paying a mortgage on my house for the past 15 years. I lose my job, my wife loses her job. we can't meet the payments anymore, and HUD forecloses, the FHA forecloses. I have to leave my house. Maybe I don't have any place to go. They're not going to do anything for me, but in theory, a homeless person might be put into my house for $1 a year, or a group of homeless people? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, that can happen. It's unfortunate and tragic that people are forced out of their homes for a variety of reasons, most of which, of course, are economic, as you suggest. And actually, it is our sincere hope that we'd like to see HUD work both sides of the street. We really would like to see HUD help those who are in those homes stay in those homes so that they, in fact, don't become homeless, because we're not particularly excited about putting homeless people in homes that are vacant because other people have become homeless. We really don't want to pit poor people against people who are on the edge. And that's not the intention. Our sincere hope is that we can help both groups of people, because both groups of people, in fact, need the help.
Now, Mr. Demery, in a sense, it becomes your problem. What is your responsibility at HUD toward the people who are having trouble making their mortgage payments? Do you have a responsibility to try to help them out, to ease the pain for them for a year, 2 years, 5 years?
Yes, Ted. We have a number of programs that are designed to help people that find themselves under adverse economic circumstances maintain their home. We have a program called, we have housing counseling programs that are designed to assist homeowners with credit counseling and debt counseling. We have an assignment program that allows qualified homeowners that find themselves, let's say they get sick and they are temporarily short of the money they need in order to maintain their mortgage payments. This is a program that will prevent the foreclosure of their home, and we are making a tremendous outreach into the people, not just in Denver and in Colorado, but across the United States, to help them understand what programs HUD has in place to help them keep their home for as long as they can.
What kind of responsibility do you have, and to whom really is the responsibility for those 50,000 homes, roughly 50,000 homes, that you now control around the country? I mean, is there an order of priorities? Sell it, fill it, get it back to the original owner? How does that work?
You correctly stated earlier in the program that we are a mortgage insurance operation. FHA is a mortgage insurance operation. And when a home ends up being foreclosed, it is the responsibility of the insurance fund to pay the claim to the lender. And normally the claim is about $60,000. The home that we sell on an average is sold for a price of about $38,000. The insurance fund represents a loss of approximately $22,000 a home. 6 million American families have mortgage insurance under the FHA program. I, as the Assistant Secretary for Housing, Federal Housing Commissioner, have a fiduciary responsibility to those 6 million families that make up the FHA fund to see to it that the fund is protected.
Let me just interrupt for a moment, because I'd like to go back and forth just a little bit. Ms. Gleason, sure. do you feel that there is something the government isn't doing that it ought to be doing, or something that HUD isn't doing that it ought to be doing, or is the problem more complex than that?
The problem is very complex, Ted, but what we recognize is not happening is that homelessness has not reversed itself, and that's a very serious problem. It has kept growing for the last 5 years, and we find ourselves in a situation where there are far too many people in the United States of America who are homeless.
But
is the federal government doing enough? No.
In a sense, if the homeless are permitted or even encouraged, let's say, to go into these empty houses, we're sort of robbing Peter to pay Paul, aren't we? I mean, it's a form of taxation, because if that means that HUD then isn't able to sell that house, that means there's $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 that isn't going back into the pot for other loans.
That's correct, but what we also recognize is that there are over 5,000 empty Peters in this particular community, and we have homeless people who can use those homes now. And what we're trying to say is the goal of stopping homelessness is to restabilize those families, to get those kids in a neighborhood where they are consistently in the same school all the time.
Well, let's follow your, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but let's follow your logic for a moment. We got roughly 50,000 homes. In theory, presumably, let's say you could put 10 people even into each of those homes. So that would be 500,000 people. Is that your proposal for getting at least 500,000 people off the streets? And is it really a logical proposal in the long term?
I think it's one of the answers. It's not the answer for everybody, and not everybody is going to be able to move into those HUD homes. But we're suggesting that there are a large number of families who can, and that it's very important as part of the solution of homelessness to do that. It's not the total solution, because it is a very complex problem. There's support services that are needed for these families. There's serious educational reform we have to do in this country in order to prevent further homelessness. There's serious re-job training that we have to do. So is brick and mortar the total answer? No, it's not, but it's certainly a big part of it.
We're going to take a break. When we return, Philadelphia Legal Services attorney George Gould will join our discussion.
The shower massage by Teledyne Waterpick.
After a long day of traveling, I'm ready for a Comfort Inn. Because at Comfort Inns and Suites, they give me a nice room, big bathroom over there, color TV, and a warm, comfortable bed. So, next time you're looking for a cozy room at a comfy price, just reach for the phone and, you know, call.
Make the quality choice. Call 800-221-2222 for comfort, quality, or Clarion reservations.
In most state lotteries, one huge sum of money can go to one single person.
Oh, boss! I just won $50 million in the lottery, and this is my official resignation.
Here in Virginia, however, we'd rather spread it around.
Oh, boss! I just won $100 in the lottery. I just thought you'd like to know. Have a nice day.
There are over 12 million winning tickets in Money Match, the second game from the Virginia Lottery.
The cooktop Europeans have cooked with for years has finally made it to America. And now you can have one free. Imagine a $179 European cooktop cartridge free with a Gen Air grill range. Bon appetit.
Go see Builders Specialty Products Incorporated, Chesapeake, and Kitchen Center, Hampton.
Before you sink some $20,000 into a new car, consider that a new Volvo 240 goes for as little as $17,600. And while settling for something other than a Volvo is bad enough, paying more for it is even worse.
See your Hampton Roads Volvo dealers today.
John Stossel exposes some trade schools where big promises could become shattered dreams.
We are only care that we have the money.
2020, Friday.
The cops in the real world of challenge, fear, and frustration. David Hartman's special reports next week on Good Morning America.
Joining us now from our Philadelphia Bureau is George Gould. Mr. Gould is the managing attorney for the Housing Unit of Community Legal Services, a nonprofit organization that provides legal assistance to low-income people in Philadelphia. How do you and your clients fit into this equation?
Well, our clients fit in twofold. First of all, they are often the people who are faced with foreclosure and the people who are living in these HUD houses or HUD-insured houses and lose them through the process of foreclosure. And secondly, many of these clients are interested in buying these properties after HUD acquires them.
Now, let's talk about the first group. I suppose there's not a whole lot of sympathy among that group for the people who move into the houses that they themselves have lost.
Well, I think there is. I mean, I think one of the biggest problems is While Mr. Demry talked about his obligations to run a program to help people prevent foreclosure, in fact, HUD has not run that program very well. Since 1976, up until this date, the acceptance rate on that program is the lowest in the history of the program. It's now about 12%.
What do you mean the acceptance rate?
This is the acceptance for people who are facing foreclosures because of financial difficulties or other difficulties beyond their control. HUD only accepts at this point in this year, on an average, approximately 12% of the cases where people apply for assistance. Back in the early 1980s, that figure was as high as 27%. So one of the things that's happening, we believe, is that substantial number of people are losing their properties unnecessarily. And if HUD properly administered the mortgage assignment program, HUD would not be losing the $20,000 or $22,000 in each of these homes, and many of these homes, people would not be displaced and possibly becoming homeless themselves, and people would remain homeowners and continue to be able to pay taxes and eventually be able to pay off their mortgage payments.
Well, let's move one step beyond that before we ask Mr. Demry for his response. Once foreclosure has taken place, once these houses, in effect, are on the market again, what is the appropriate role for HUD? Is it not to sell those houses as quickly as it can?
Well, the role for HUD is to certainly sell the houses, but the question is, who should those houses be sold to? HUD in the past 8 years has completely dismantled the program that used to be in effect that targeted the sale of these houses to low and moderate income people in this country. They have gotten rid of numerous policies which effectuated that policy. They used to have a preference for owner-occupants to live in the houses. They used to repair the houses. They used to provide these houses and make them eligible for financing or provide financing themselves. And they used to give a rational period of time for people to go to settlement. HUD has eliminated all of these policies, and as a practical matter, they sell the houses to the person who can pay the most money.
Mr. Demry?
Well, first of all, there are a number of statements I would like to respond to.
Well, do it quickly if you would, please.
I intend to. As Mr. Gould knows, the assignment program that he was critical of has very specific statutory requirements that in order to apply must first be met. Secondly, HUD is doing a major outreach and has over these last several years in terms of working with state and local governments, local nonprofits, and providers of homeless services to make our houses available for them to use for those purposes. We have a wonderful program to encourage first-time home buyers of $100 down for houses that have been in inventory over 6 months. We've got a very low down payment program in the Denver market of $500 down for first-time home buyers that desire to purchase a home that's not been aged or in inventory. I take strong exception to his remarks that the department has been negative or silent or turned a deaf ear to the needs of both first-time home buyers and middle and low-income home buyers.
I'll tell you what, very quickly, Mr. Gould, if I could just ask you, where do the homeless fit into this? I mean, do you approve or do your clients approve of homeless being put into some of these homes?
Absolutely. These houses are some of the best housing stock in this country, and there's no reason why a substantial number of these houses cannot be used as housing for permanent shelter for the homeless. Instead, and I disagree with Mr. Demry, HUD's policy across the country is simply to sell these houses to the highest bidder. There is no longer a policy of targeting this to either the homeless, low or moderate income people. In fact, the statistics show that. There's 300 to 400 out of 50,000 houses that have provided housing for the homeless in the entire country. That's way less than 1%.
Mr. Demry, hang in for a moment if you would. We've got to take another break. We'll give you a chance to respond in a couple of closing comments when we continue our discussion in a moment.
If you like our hot, flaky Sara Lee croissants for breakfast, may we make a little suggestion for dinner? Sara Lee petite croissants.
Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee.
How can anyone offer me a computer solution without seeing my business first? That's why we're talking to MicroAge. Instead of trying to sell me something off the shelf, they're coming here to look at my computer needs firsthand.
MicroAge, as close as the telephone.
Shrouded in secrecy for years, the stealth bomber will soon be introduced to the public.
record, we introduced ours first.
Now the world's best gold card is even better. We've added Master Purchase, the plan that automatically insures most things you buy and doubles the manufacturer's warranty. It's much like American Express, only better. You can use Gold MasterCard nationwide in 1 million places they're not even welcome. Master Purchase, just part of what makes us the world's #1 gold card. Gold MasterCard.
Just wait till you taste Dad's meatloaf.
I can wait.
Hey, with Heinz 57 sauce, even I can make delicious meals. Recipes are right on the bottle, like my great American meatloaf. I just add a 1/4 cup of Heinz 57 sauce to my meatloaf, bake, and voila.
Well, how is it?
Delicious. I can't wait for seconds.
He can wait. Heinz 57 sauce, more than a steak sauce, a heck of a lot more.
Continuing our discussion now with our guest, Ms. Gleason, I come back to where I started. How do we justify the federal government, in effect, subsidizing the homeless in some of these houses at the possible expense of someone who's been paying for 10, 15 years in a house like this and who does not get that kind of subsidy?
You have to understand, I think, Ted, that the federal government has to be deliberate in resolving homelessness. It's gone on too long and it's getting too drastic.
I'm not arguing with you about that. I hope that everyone would agree that we have to take care of our homeless. What I'm asking, is that a fair way to do it?
It is one of the ways. And I don't think at the expense of other people, and I don't think that's necessary. I think that's unfortunately what we keep doing, is pitting people against each other, saying the homeless are going to hurt those who can potentially buy their homes or who were foreclosed on. I don't think it's an either-or situation at all. It's not black and white, certainly not in this community.
I agree 100% with that statement. I think that making our single-family homes available to homeless providers is a part of the solution. We have emergency shelter grants, we have transitional housing, we have a number of programs in the McKinney Act that are designed to meet the range of needs for the homeless.
We also have anywhere between 500,000 and 3 million homeless and 50,000 empty houses. Is that part of the answer? I mean, we're really down to our last 20 seconds, Mr. Demery. I'd just like to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I think part of the answer is in working with the department in a reasonable and lawful way. Squatting, possessing property, and so on is not a way to work together and only causes polarization. We have in Denver 4 groups that have worked well with the department and are currently providing houses for the homeless and services for the homeless, and the system works when the system is allowed to work.
Mr. Demery, forgive me. I'm sorry. I feel badly because I know we've got more to discuss here. I promise you, we'll come back to the subject again. I do thank all of you very much for joining us tonight. Tomorrow night, we'll have a special edition of Nightline to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the National Geographic. We'll travel vicariously over land, under the sea, and into the stars with some of the National Geographic's greatest explorers. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News, where more Americans get their news than from any other source.
Tomorrow night.
Dr. Jastrow, you must be ready to record the broadcast.
Natalie's a tough, resourceful girl, Byron. Would it be possible to see you once in a while?
I'm sure you wouldn't want to be separated from your uncle.
The continuation of War and Remembrance. Tomorrow at 9, 8 Central.
Watch Regis and Kathy Lee tomorrow at 10.
Hey, Vern, you thinking about buying a new TV, VCR, stereo, washer, or refrigerator? Well, Luskin's is the cheapest guy in town. Now, let me figure this up for you. Let's see, Vern drives a few miles to a convenient Luskin store at 20 cents a mile. That's government standard. Divided by the lowest prices guaranteed in writing, minus the frustration factor. One. Vern, you're going to save $53,000 on a $300 TV. I don't see how them Luskin boys stay in business. Know what I mean?
This year at your Dodge dealer, we're more committed to you than ever. It's the new spirit of Dodge, and it shows in our commitment to bring you the world's best, like our imported Dodge Colt and Ram 50 pickup, both backed by our 336 bumper-to-bumper warranty, and now both with $500 cash back. Join us in our commitment to quality and service. It all comes together here at your Dodge dealer, where the new spirit